Hello world, I'm Maya Sundermeyer and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series. So far I have been able to share my own experiences with you guys on what it's like for me to live with Asperger syndrome. A second thing that I do is I like to give my 2 cents on what's going on with autism and the media. A third area entails providing tips and advice to those of you who are on the autism spectrum. And I'm also talking to you who are family members and you who are friends and peers and educators, as well as employers and job coaches and the like. And finally, covering topics that I'm passionate about that have absolutely nothing to do with autism. Now, before I dive into tonight's topic, what I would like to do is mention a few things. So first and foremost, you guys may have noticed that I have been posting a link to WordPress.com. And what I am doing is I've simply decided to create a series of written blogs with a much more scholarly tone to them. And especially since I'm a writer anyway, and I also have an associate degree in psychology, which meant that I was required to take some courses where I was taught how to use APA style. And I also have access to hundreds of different articles at work and online since I'm a student at Georgia State and a staff member as well. And so please be sure to check those out, and you can check out the link right down here in the description. A second thing that I would like to do is mention to you that are on the autism spectrum is click up here in the upper right hand corner of a link through ASON, which is the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, or the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. And what they do is they stand up against things like curing autism, and they also put out a really, really good video about a person with autism being different, but not necessarily less, or not really somebody who is disabled. And it's very encouraging, and I think it's really critical for those of you who are on the spectrum to check that out. Now, what I would like to do is share an experience that I faced on May 8th, 2016, which was also known as Mother's Day 2016. And I wanted to start off by mentioning that Dr. Temple Grandin was in town that afternoon. And that was because she was in the process of earning an honorary degree at Emory University, and she had been asked to do a talk through one of my networks. So I had a chance to not only go and hear her lecture, but I went to volunteer, as well as get my book, or my copy of her book, The Autistic Brain, Helping Different Kinds of Minds Succeed. And I had the liberty of bringing the book with me. And it was while I was volunteering as an usher that I ran into several women who absolutely knew nothing about Dr. Grandin, and they happened to volunteer at this auditorium on campus at Emory University. And one of the women came up to me and said that she had seen a few of her talks, and she asked me a bunch of questions about her. And one of them that she happened to ask me really ticked me off. And the question was, now, does she still live with her parents? Probably not. And I said, what kind of question is that? A woman with her intelligence? That's plain flat out ignorance, lady. And she goes, it is not ignorance. Some parents still take care of their disabled children. And being who I am as a self-advocate myself and me coining my own word, I said, she's not disabled. That's a person with the human detour system. And she walked away and said, okay. And for those of you that are just joining for the first time, I would like you to know that human detour system is an alternative for using disability, because it's really people first language. And that's where you start looking at your strengths and you build on those and you work around your weaknesses and you ignore them. And that's where you sometimes have to take the longer route to get to college, or get to living out on your own, or get to being in a relationship with somebody, whether it be romantic or platonic, and also taking the longer path to get into a career. And another thing, too, that I would like to mention is, yeah, sure, that lady didn't know anything about Dr. Temple Grandin, but I'm noticing this a lot now, that people don't really tend to look at all of the accomplishments or the achievements of the self-advocate, just like they made about Dr. Temple Grandin. And I've had that happen to me so many times where people wanted to rush in and look at what kind of services I need or how I was disabled, and it's absolutely annoying. And so when people mention something like that, it is an absolute hot button of mine, because it shows you that people are not really that interested in the person. They're just sticking their nose in that other person's business, along with applying stereotypes as well. Now, if you have any questions or comments on what I've just talked about, please be sure to state below. Until next time, I'm Maya Sundermeyer.